What is Islam? Part 3 The Essential Beliefs of Islam 1 Belief in God. Islam upholds strict monotheism and belief in God forms the guts of their faith. Islam teaches belief in one God who neither gives birth nor was born himself, and has no share in his caretaking of the planet. He alone gives life, causes death, brings good, causes affliction, and provides sustenance for his creation. God in Islam is that the sole creator, Lord, sustainer, ruler, judge, and savior of the universe. He has no equal in his qualities and skills, like knowledge and power. All worship, veneration and homage is to be directed to God and none else. Any breach of those concepts negates the idea of Islam. 2. Belief within the angels. Adherents to Islam must believe the unseen world is mentioned within the Quran. From this world are the angels, emissaries of God, each assigned with a selected task. They need no free will or ability to disobey, it's their very nature to be God's faithful servants. Angels aren't to be taken as demigods or objects of praise or veneration, they're mere servants of God obeying his every command. 3. Belief within the prophets and messengers. Islam may be a universal and inclusive religion. Muslims believe the prophets, not just the Prophet Muhammad, may the mercy and blessings of God be upon him, but the Hebrew prophets, including Abraham and Moses, also because the prophets of the New Testament, Jesus, and John the Baptist. Islam teaches God didn't send prophets to Jews and Christians alone, rather he sent prophets to all or any nations within the world with one central message: worship God alone. Muslims must believe all prophets sent by God mentioned within the Quran, without making any distinction between them. Muhammad was sent with the ultimate message, and there's no prophet to return after him. His message is final and eternal, and through him God completed his message to humanity. 4. Belief within the sacred texts. Muslims believe all books that God has sent right down to humanity through his prophets. These books include the books of Abraham, the Torah of Moses, the Psalms of David, and therefore the Gospel of Jesus. These books all had an equivalent source, God, an equivalent message, and every one were revealed in fact. This doesn't mean that they need been preserved in fact. Muslims, and many other Jewish and Christian scholars and historians, find that the books alive today aren't the first scriptures, which actually are lost, changed, and/or translated over and once again, losing the first message. As Christians view the New Testament to satisfy and complete the Old Testament, Muslims believe that the Prophet Muhammad received revelations from God through the angel Gabriel to correct human error that had entered into the scriptures and doctrine of Judaism, Christianity and every one other religions. This revelation is that the Quran, revealed within the Arabic, and located today in its pristine form. It seeks to guide mankind altogether walks of life, spiritual, temporal, individual and collective. It contains directions for the conduct of life, relates stories and parables, describes the attributes of God, and speaks of the simplest rules to control social life. It's directions for everyone, every place, and for all time. Many people today have memorized the Quran, and every one copies of the Quran found today and within the past are identical. God has promised that he will guard the Quran from change until the top of times, in order that guidance be clear to humanity and therefore the message of all the prophets be available for those that seek it. 5. Belief in life after death. Muslims believe that each day will come when all of creation will perish and resurrected so as to be judged for his or her deeds, the day of judgment. On today, all will take in the presence of God and every individual are going to be questioned about their life within the world and the way they lived it. Those that held correct beliefs about God and life, and followed their belief with righteous deeds will enter paradise, albeit they'll buy a number of their sins in hell if God out of his infinite justice chooses to not forgive them. As for those that fell into polytheism in its many faces, they're going to enter hellfire, never to go away therefrom. 6. Belief within the divine decree. Islam asserts that God has full power and knowledge of all things, which nothing happens except by his will and together with his full knowledge. What's referred to as divine decree, fate, or destiny, is understood in Arabic as al-Qadr. The destiny of each creature is already known to God. This belief however doesn't contradict with the thought of man's discretion to settle on his course of action. God doesn't force us to try to do anything, we will choose whether to obey or disobey him. Our choice is understood to God before we even roll in the hay. We don't know what our destiny is, but God knows the fate of all things. Therefore, we should always have firm faith that whatever befalls us, it's consistent with God's will and together with his full knowledge. There could also be things that happen during this world that we don't understand, but we should always trust that God has wisdom altogether things.